All right. I am live with Michael Hellickson from Club Wealth. Hey, Michael.
How are you?
Great. I am so excited that you're on. And just so people know, I mean, I feel like they've heard of Club Wealth. I mean, it's the number one consulting and coaching company in the country. Are you international?
Well, we're in the team and brokerage space. We got to put the caveat of the team. There's bigger coaching companies than ours, but
Yeah.
not the team and brokerage space.
In the team and brokerage. Well,
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But just for some context too, I mean, a decade ago, you guys were doing over 120 to 180 deals a month, not a year, a month.
That's true. Yeah.
Most agents don't do that in their lifetime.
Yeah, it was a wild time. I remember we at that point in time we had usually we were carrying about 750 listings in active and pending status, and
that's like all of the listings currently in the MLS. 750.
Well, we're in a big market. I mean, we're in Seattle. We covered all of Washington State and even down into Portland a little bit. What's really cool though is we were doing that with just 16 agents.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing you see on teams a lot, right? It's like there's a lot of agents, but they're only doing like one deal or two deals, but yours were really productive. I mean, that's over 100 deals. That's like 100 deals an agent, probably about
over that. Yeah. I mean, now, truth be told, a lot of that was my production. I was personally doing, I was listing 50 to 75 houses a month myself.
That's awesome.
About half of that was REO. Most of that was retail.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, yeah, our agents were very, very productive. Our listing agents, we had 5 listing agents, and they would list. On the low end, our listing agents were doing 10 to 15 per month. Yeah. And our really, really good ones that had been with us for a bit, we're doing anywhere from 18 to 21 listings a month.
That's great. And we're going to have you back on the podcast, and we're going to talk about that. But
yeah, sure.
So you do the coaching and consulting in the team space, and that's why you're perfect for this question. Okay.
Well, I do, but to be fair, our 85 coaches, yes. I'm one of, I only coach 2 or 3 people at a time, But our coaches, they're doing the lion's share of that, but yes. And they're all active agents. So yeah.
Which makes a difference, right? Because they're doing more than who they're coaching.
That's right. Yeah. Like if you're doing 50 deals a year, your coach with us is going to do 75 to 150 deals a year. And
I mean, that's just brilliant, right? Because most coaches don't, like most of those companies, the coach doesn't really do business anymore.
I have always found it hard to take advice from someone who hasn't been where I want to go. And I'm a real believer that if you want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, you need a guide who's actually been to the top of Mount Everest before.
Yeah, I agree.
So, at the end of the day, it really works. The model really works. And especially matters as you get higher. Like for a tier 1, it's not, for somebody who's doing 0 to 25 transactions a year, anybody with a modicum of experience in real estate can really help them out.
Yes.
And that's why you've got most of the coaches out there are helping that niche.
Right.
But you start getting into 25 to 75 or even 75 to 150 transactions a year, you need a coach who
things changed. Yeah. I mean, I remember when we were doing like 100, 125 a year, and I was like, there's like, I can't grow like this. And the old ways, or the ways people are telling you how to do business, it's not the same. And you're no.
Well, it's a lot of things. One, it's a different skill set altogether, right? Because
it's a business owner mindset.
That's right.
Right.
Yes, 100%. Now you've got to learn all the stuff that it takes to actually run a business, not just be a great entrepreneur. And in addition to that, you've got to do that, and you've got to learn to recruit at a high level. You got to do all of that while still running your business, so you don't go broke as you're transitioning into business owner.
You just nailed the hard part.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is, the last thing you want is somebody that did 24 transactions last year teaching you how to do that when you're already doing 150.
Yes.
If you're doing 150 transactions a year, you need somebody that's doing, 250 to 500.
Yeah. Right. Because if you're too high, it's like unobtainable, right?
Correct. Well, like, for example, like I would never coach a tier 1 or a tier 2 because I don't even speak their language. I mean, it's 30 years since I was at that level. I have no idea, like what they're going through today.
Right.
Whereas our coaches that are right ahead of them in production, they know exactly what they're going through, and they were just there. They just got through it. And so they can really relate to them in ways that no one that hasn't just been through that can relate to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about, so there's a ton of agents that are in this like conundrum. You're
Yes.
doing business. It's fine. It's good. But you want to go like, you're like, is this it? Like, okay, I'm at the level that I'm comfortable with, like whatever level that is. Maybe it's,
Mhm.
40, 50, 60, 100 transactions, whatever. And you're like, this is fine. But like, what's next? Should I start a team or should I open up a small brokerage?
So you're 100% correct that this is the conundrum that a lot of people are faced with. Us. I would start with this. If you're not growing, you're dying. You have to embrace
Yeah.
that. You have to embrace that I have got to be constantly improving myself and working to grow and move ahead,
Mhm.
because guess what? Everybody around me is, right? So
Right.
if I'm not growing, if I'm not getting better, if I'm not really bringing my A game, everybody around me is, and I'm going to
Yeah.
get left behind.
Right.
So now what direction do I put to that, right? Like where do I put my focus? Do I put it in growing a brokerage, growing a team?
Yeah.
By the way, you don't need to grow a team or grow a brokerage to be successful in this industry. I know a
True.
lot of team members, who aren't the team leader. They're a member of a team as a buyer agent or a listing agent,
Mhm.
and they're making anywhere from $200,000 to $1 million a year take home, and they don't have to have any expenses on that. They don't have to deal with running a
Yeah, there's
team.
a lot of ways, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of ways to grow, but like I think these two choices always seem to be like the first. And it was a choice that we had to make too and that we explored. And like for us ultimately right now we're referring all of our business, which is even better, but there's so many people that are in this and it usually is one or the other.
So I'm going to stretch you on that one, Jennifer.
Okay.
I'm permission to coach for a moment.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
I'm going to suggest that I can help you make a lot more money in a lot less
Okay.
time
I have my pen.
by not just referring that business out. You'll get a lot higher ROI on your lead
Yeah.
sources. But to your point, let's answer first the brokerage versus team question, and then we can come back to
Yes.
this whole
Okay.
referral. So the very short answer is, if you're not going to build your brokerage to at least 100 agents, you have no business growing a brokerage, because it really what it is it's a great way to go broke. Yeah, that's
Yes.
why they call them
Talk more
brokers.
about that.
Well, I mean, they call them brokers because they're broker than the agents, right? And so really, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made in brokerage, and we've got some very, very successful brokers in Club Wealth. In fact, when I start, I've got a couple in Minnesota. When I started coaching them, they had 75 agents, and every year since then, we've helped them recruit over 200 agents per year
That's
every
awesome.
year. Yeah, right. I mean, and now they're knocking on the door of 1,000 agents, and so they've been very, very successful growing that brokerage model. That's not going to be everybody. The vast majority of people out there right now that are probably watching this, if they've got a brokerage, they're probably sitting on 7, 8, 10, 15 agents, maybe.
Right.
And they're still in production. Well, the reality
Yes.
is, the short-term answer is that the fastest path to cash is the team, not the brokerage. So if you want to make cash quickly, and you don't want to go through the pain of, I've got to, work really hard to build this brokerage and get beyond 100 agents in order to really start making enough money for it to
Yeah, because your
feel.
production will suffer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
And your production will also suffer as you build a team. The difference
Yeah.
is margins are better on a team than they are on a brokerage.
Right.
Margins are a lot tighter on a brokerage. Now, that being said, your turnover is lower on a brokerage, right? So from a leadership standpoint, it's easier to lead a brokerage than it is to lead a team, but it's not anywhere
Because
near.
you could have your own team inside a brokerage. Let
For
me ask
sure.
you, is being a team owner and being a brokerage owner, are they different skill sets?
They're similar. I would suggest that the number one thing that a broker owner needs to remember is that they've got to have compliance handled, because they are the bottom line on compliance.
Right.
And if you aren't strong on compliance, you got to hire a broker who is, right. You got to
Yeah.
hire someone that works for you as your designated broker who is. And the same is true for a team. I mean, in that the team leader is going to establish systems and parameters for how everything's going to be written up, how every listing is going to be done. It's going to be the same every time. So really, from a broker standpoint, it's a lot easier to have teams in your brokerage than it is to have solo agents in your brokerage. The ones that get you in trouble are always the ones that do like 4 deals a year.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, every time. They're the ones that are like a nightmare from a compliance standpoint. They don't know how to write stuff up. They use paperwork that's 2 years
There
old.
are sometimes people open up brokerages just for their team, right? So like everybody's on the team.
We call that a teamridge. And
Exactly. What do you think about
and,
that?
and that's great. I mean, that's how mine was set up back in the day. I had 16 agents on my team, and it was my brokerage. And I did not have anybody that was just in the brokerage. Now, I will say this. there are a lot of people who are doing that. They're marrying the two successfully. And what they do is they focus on recruiting to the team. And if someone's just not a good fit for the team, great, you can be in my brokerage.
Yes.
A lot of the upline or downline models are that way, right? So,
right.
That really made that model even more effective, because now, if I don't want them on my team, I can still make a little money on them by getting them into the brokerage, and I can still provide them with some support and a little extra help. Maybe not as much as I'm providing my team members, but certainly more than they would
But
get.
you still have the problem, like the same problem exists, I think, on teams and on brokerages. It's like at some point, what they're paying, somebody could, if money's the option, right? If money is the thing, it's like there's going to be at some point where they outgrow the team or outgrow the brokerage.
Maybe. And they're going to think they have, but, or I should say, a lot of times they're going to think they have. But the reality is, it's easy to outgrow a brokerage. It's tough to outgrow a great team. And what I mean by that is, if I'm on a team and I'm having success at a team, and I'm making $250,000 to $500,000 a year.
Yeah. That'd be hard to replicate on your own.
Very tough. Yes. Very tough.
But I don't think an average team member is making that, right?
It depends on what part of the country they're in. But I mean, if I'm on a team and I'm doing 50 plus transactions a year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that much. I mean, it's really, in fact, let me back up. It really doesn't matter what my production level is. It's tough to leave a team and go do better. It's very unusual to see someone leave a team and be more successful when they leave the team.
It is unusual, right?
Yes. For a lot of reasons. And I'll tell you the number one reason why is because of the level of accountability that's provided by being on a team. There, once you're on your own, that accountability is gone. And everybody says,
nobody's like, what did you do?
Yeah, right. But everybody thinks they're going to hold themselves accountable, but they don't. It's kind of like coaching. Why does coaching work so well? I mean, the information's great and all that. The systems are fantastic and all that helps. Don't get me wrong. And the masterminds are amazing. All this stuff. Like, there's all these pieces of coaching that are very, very helpful. But first and foremost, the number one thing that really moves the needle for people as a result of coaching is accountability.
Exactly. Because it's easier to be accountable to somebody else than it is yourself, right? Like, I'm meeting, I don't work out, but if I'm meeting somebody, well, even for a walk, if I'm meeting my friend at 5 a.m. to go on our walk, I'm going to be more likely to go. Like, I go every time versus me being like, well, I should get up the other days. And I don't get up the other days.
That's right. That's exactly
I'm awake,
right.
But I'm not walking.
Well, and that's exactly the point, because people will do stuff for other people that they won't do for themselves.
Correct.
And so no matter how you slice it, the accountability piece falls by the wayside when someone leaves the team. Whereas with a brokerage, there's really not accountability to begin with in a brokerage. The only accountability you've got in a brokerage is don't break the law, right? As long as you don't do anything illegal or unethical or immoral, your brokerage is not going to care, right?
Right.
But a team, they are going to care because you're much more of a reflection of that team. And not only that, but they've got standard because they're paying for things for you, right?
Yes.
They might be paying upwards of $9,000 or, I've even seen teams paying as much as $14,000, $15,000 a month per team member.
Yeah.
For things like leads and support and office.
All the things.
Everything. Yeah, it all adds up.
Well, if you're in this situation where you're like, okay, what should I do next? And you decided your choices are either start a team or start my own brokerage. What should you be asking yourself to come to the decision that makes the most sense for you? Talk to your coach.
What's most important?
No, I'm just kidding.
I would definitely, you definitely should talk to your coach because it is a big decision. And by the way, anytime you're going to switch brokerages, that's a very big decision you should run by your coach.
Absolutely.
And there should be a compelling reason to move. It shouldn't be, oh, this new model sounds great. No, I think I can make all this money over there. No, because you're
still going to be you.
That's literally what I was just going to say. No matter where you go, it's still you.
Agreed.
Yeah. And so I'm not a grass is greener on the other side guy. I'm a grass is greener where you water it guy.
Yeah.
And so that being said, I would suggest that first and foremost, I would err in favor of team over brokerage, especially early. Generally speaking, if you want to start a brokerage, it's a lot easier to do that when you've already got 25 to 40 team members. And if you want, now at that point, you want to take your team, you want to go start a brokerage, very different story.
Yeah.
It's
because you already have like a head start.
Correct. And you've got a base of dollars coming in, right? You've got some money coming in every month that you can count on, and it's spread out far enough that if 4 people leave your team, you're not freaking out.
It's not like a big deal. Yeah.
Correct. Because you will have turnover.
Sorry,
And that's,
I'm listening.
that, but
My
that's,
thing has to be plugged in. All right, go
oh,
ahead.
that's funny. But that's part of the, that's part of the problem is, if you've only got 4 or 5 people on your team and a couple of them leave at the same
You're
time,
screwed.
it's a major impact to your income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has a major impact. You look at, the shift that's for sure, gonna be here at some point.
Well, that's how real estate is. It's cyclical.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
I mean, you've been in real estate for how long?
30 years.
And how many cycles have you seen? Like, come on. You know
number
what
4.
I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there was this Facebook post that somebody posted. It was like, my client wanted to offer less than what the asking price was. What did I do? What should I do? I was like, oh my God, you've never seen this before. Like, it's been that long that there's new agents that have never seen this.
That's right. That's literally, and what it's going to be a rude awakening. And what's neat is, you look at back in 2007 and 8, through 2011, the market lost 20% of its transactions.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is it lost 25% of the agents.
Thank you. Good.
So all you had to do to not fail is don't quit.
Right.
I mean, that's literally,
that's like a whole nother podcast about people quitting right when they get to the, right when, but anyway, okay. So you said you would well, first talk to your coach. Second, you err on the side of teams. You have to ask yourself, what is it that you really, what's my
real goal is if money is in the top 3, like if money's near or at the top of my goals, it's team. I'm all about teams. If, hey, I just want to help more people, and if it's more altruistic and you're really into the government, compliance side of things, well, yeah, take a look at brokerage. But the reality is,
what if it's ego? That's mostly what it is.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I we work with a lot of great brokers that, I don't think they're egotistical about it. I just think that they just come from a different place. They don't enjoy the production side of the business. They enjoy building the brokerage side, and that's fine. But you just have to be real with yourself about, hey, until I get to 100 agents, I'm operating on a shoestring.
Yeah.
And then once I get to about 100 agents, I start making some decent money. And if I can get to 200 to 250 agents, that's a really nice lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I can develop a really nice lifestyle.
And then then do you switch your focus to like retention?
No.
You still grow.
Recruiting always has to be your number one priority. Whether you're doing a team or a brokerage, your recruiting has to be your number one priority, no matter what. You're going to have turnover. I don't care how great you are. I don't care how great they are. I mean, I had a team member who's been with us for 3.5 years. Yeah. We love her. She loves the team and the company. And her father had a stroke. And and so she had to move to go take care of her father, and we don't have a remote position. We don't, our people are in-house, and that's another very important aspect to this. There's a synergy that only happens in-house. And a lot of companies, Google just decided that they're bringing all their people back in-house now, and they're not letting them work remote anymore. That's interesting. That'd be a really fun topic. I'd love to have that conversation with you. But that being said, she had to resign to go take. We
would fight about that because I'm the other way.
Bring it.
I love a good fight.
Yeah, I'm up for that fight. I do too. I got on stage. Listen, you and I are going to get along, Jennifer. I got on stage with a couple of coaches the other day, and it was at a big conference, a big one. There's about 1,000 people in the conference, and these coaches were all, just agreeing with each other. And
sickening.
Oh, dude, I got in there and I'm just like, all right, first of all, I disagree with what you just said. And let me tell you why. Right. And I just went at them, and dude, everybody's like, what? It's like, oh my gosh, man.
But the best part about it is there's just so many ways in our business to be successful. Mm-hmm. And it's just figuring out what's the right way for you, which is amazing. Right. I cannot think of another type of business that offers like these opportunities that we have as real estate agents. It's crazy.
It is. I've often been quoted as saying that having a real estate license is like having a license to print cash.
Man.
It really is. And now that being said, everybody's worried about, there's downward pressure on commissions, and are people coming after our commissions, and are we going to be out of business, and yada, yada. No, I don't.
We agree on that. I think though, I think we're going to have to raise the level of what a real estate agent is, what it means. I think we're going to have to know more. I think we're going to have to be more consultative. And maybe we could charge exactly like.
So let's talk about that for a minute. And that's another one I'd love to have a conversation with, a longer conversation with, but I'll tell you this, that, and I can have this conversation because I don't hold a license. So you and I can have this conversation all day long. It's not racketeering, but because we're not competitors. But I will tell you that the time is quickly coming where I believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, that it's very likely, and it's in fact maybe probable, that listing offices will no longer offer a selling office commission at all, and that the selling office will have to get a buyer agency agreement signed with their client before they ever take them out to show houses.
As they fucking should. Come on, man.
100%. Listen, my 20-year-old kid, he went on 10 buyer, his very first week, or actually it was his second week in the business. His first week, he set all these appointments. The second week in the business, he went on 10 buyer appointments. Sorry, he went on 8 buyer appointments. He got 10 buyer agency agreements signed on 8 buyer appointments. Yeah, right. How do you do that, right?
Yeah.
One of them, the family brought a family member with them, and another
perfect.
One brought a friend with them, and he got
That's a great return on investment.
Dude, he's 20 years old. It was the first 10 buyer appointments he ever went on.
It's not hard.
No, and that's it. The reason he was able to do that is because he didn't know you're not supposed to. He didn't know that, he wasn't programmed.
You are supposed to.
I agree that you're supposed to, but
it's a contract to work. How can I work for you if you do not hire me to work?
I agree 100%. Look, Jennifer, you and I hate to say this because I want to fight with you so bad, but you and I are on the same page.
We'll fight about other stuff. We'll fight about being remote, because I'm like the remote queen. I'm like, run your business remotely.
Well, yeah, you can, but it's a lot more. It's a lot more profitable if you don't.
Okay, well, it depends on what you want, though, right? Like that's back to the original question.
Yeah, that's right.
Is like,
that's exactly right.
What is it that you really want? And so,
I'm working remote today, just so you know. Like I'm not in the office right now, and I work remote. Like when we're buying this new place.
Are you in your fancy new place?
I'm not yet. We close in June. We're closing.
Are you going to be posting pics on your Facebook page about that?
Hate to say it, but I was getting ready to post one just before our podcast.
Yeah,
so, yes, I'll be posting pics.
Go check out.
It's like the eagle's nest, man. It's like it's
so pretty.
But,
I love it.
But long story short, I don't disagree that, for CEOs from time to time, I think it makes sense to work from home. I think it's less productive to have your entire teams working from home. I think that's where you miss out on the synergy and the oversight, and truth be told, most people are not as effective at home as they are in the office. And that's why Google pulled them all. And I think Facebook will end up following suit. I think a lot of big companies, you're going to find out in the next couple of years, people are, as they do studies, and these companies will do studies on it.
But what about real estate agents? We're always we're always remote.
Okay. I'll challenge you on that.
Oh, good. That'll be our fight.
Let's fight. Because I'll tell you right now, I'll put my 20-year-old up against anybody you've got working remote. I will put him up against anybody, and he's got a 24-year-old on his team. I'll put him up against anybody as well. And those two kids, and by the way, the average age of he's got a 24, a 20, a 19, and a 21 and an 18-year-old on his team. And I will put all those 4 people up against any 4 people in the country head to head. And I guarantee they are crushing them.
But that's probably about discipline.
That's 100% about discipline. Because they work from the office together, making calls every day from 8 till noon every morning. That's what they do.
Okay.
And they're highly disciplined, and they each of them set 3 to 6 appointments a day every day.
Get it.
Dude, it's awesome, right? But how many people do that working from home?
How many people do it, period?
Virtually none, but even fewer working from home. So, but you're right. But here's the thing. It's a lot easier when you're in the same room as other people doing the same thing. It's really hard. Like if I stuck one of those 4 at home and said, hey, make your calls from home, their numbers would plummet. They would.
See, we did it when I was gone, and we just all jumped on like Zoom together. So you could choose, right? So there were a couple people in the office. There was a couple people, like I was in, Morocco.
Yeah.
And we were on the phone, and so we could see each other. We had our little, we were doing 50 minutes at a time. You know what you do, the things, right? And it was fine. It worked great.
We have the same thing going on. And if you jump on clubwealthhelp.com, that's our help desk, right? And you can see all of our remote team members are right there on a Zoom all the time. And can
anybody join that?
Sure. Yeah. You can jump in there and you can see what we got going on. And so it's where our clients go to ask for help for whatever they need, tech support, whatever they need. But it's, I've always got, 6, 10, 15 people on there that can help people right now.
Yeah.
So
great.
that part works great. But I can also tell you that statistically speaking, because we've run the numbers on this, man, I'm an analytics guy. We've run the numbers on this. I get 3x the productivity out of my internal employees than I do my external employees, my remote
Interesting.
3x.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Now, tell us, okay, so if people don't have a coach, or they're looking at changing coaches or whatever, just give us like a snippet about Club Wealth and how they can get a hold of you or one of the coaches there.
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, the little snippet is that we're the only coaching company on the planet that guarantees you'll double your income, or at least make an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we give you your money back.
Boom.
Nobody else will do that. And we've never, not in the 14 years since 2014, so it's not 14 years, but since 2014, we've been offering that guarantee. Nobody's ever asked us for their money back, not once. Nice. So I'd start with that. And then I would suggest that if you want to build a team or build a brokerage, there's no company better equipped on the planet to help you do that. I would, let me give them something. Instead of me just giving content, can I just give them something free?
Give them something. Yeah.
All right. So we got about 109 lead sources that we recommend to our clients. And so what I'll do is I've got a list of about 17 of our favorite lead sources.
Okay.
So if you grab your phone and you text the word Club Wealth, text that to the number 727-287-5993. I'll give it to you again, 727-287-5993. And then just text the words, 2 words, Club Wealth, to that number. And my team will send you out our 17 of our best 109 lead sources.
Nice.
And I'll tell you that's another thing that people like, these people that think, oh, I'm just going to do business by referral. That works great right up until the recession.
You better tell Monica, hold your ears. The co-host.
I mean, it does. Yeah, Monica, bring it, man. Like, I'll fight with Monica about referrals. Let's go. I mean, I can back it with stats too. Here, share this with Monica. 6 years ago, the 61% of the average agent's business came from their sphere of influence. That number dropped in the last 2 years. That number's dropped to below 40%. Why? Because 92% of all buyers start their search online. And of those, 72%, fully 72%, work with the first agent they come in contact with that doesn't drop the ball on follow-up.
Right.
You start looking at those numbers, it's no wonder the number of referrals are dropping. And here's where it gets really scary. And I don't want to pick on any of their coaches, because I don't want to make Brian Buffini feel bad. But at the end of the day, I mean, I love Brian. Don't get me wrong, I really do. I learned a lot from Brian. He was my coach for a year, and I really enjoy Brian. I think he's a great guy. That being said, he almost went out of business in 2008 and 9. And the reason why, and this is not a reflection of his business acumen. I think he's a very astute business owner. I mean, dude, never feel sorry for a guy that owns a plane, right?
Right. That's rule number one.
Absolutely. But that being said, why did he almost go out of business? Because his business is 100% about referrals, and his clients are all reliant upon referrals. And guess what? Nobody calls their friend up and says, hey, Jennifer, hey, I'm losing my house to foreclosure. If I don't get it sold right away, you got a realtor you can refer me to?
Right, exactly.
And nobody says that ever.
Right.
Like, that's never going to happen. And so,
well, I always say, look, your current client was somebody else's past client, likely, right? And so that's proof enough. That's it.
It really is. And so, you've got to understand that the market is getting ready to shift. And when this market shifts enough, and we get back into more foreclosures, more short sales, and everybody right now, you talked about that, and everybody's like, no, that'll never happen. Everybody's got so much equity and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, up until they don't, right? Oh, but we don't have the mortgage crisis, blah, blah, blah. Really? Really? Okay, so I can do a bank statement loan today. Just like stated income, I can do a bank statement loan today where I don't have to prove my income. And you don't think we're going to, dude, I'm telling you, this stuff's coming again. And so it's just a matter of when.
We did ask the Magic 8 Ball app this morning if there was going to be, if the bubble was going to burst. And it was both ways. It changed its mind, and then it changed its mind again. So honestly, it can't be trusted.
I agree. The Magic 8 Ball is it's just another crack.
It's a great app though. I love it.
Just kidding. But but really, truly, nobody knows when it's going to happen.
Right.
Nobody does. And what really matters is making sure that we've diversified our lead flow so that when it happens, not if, because it's going to happen. It's making sure that we have diversified enough lead flow that, if I want to make 6 figures a year in this business, I need 10 to 15 lead sources. If I want to be really consistent,
and they have to be like a combination of people that you know and people that you don't know.
So, well, I would suggest referrals is one of those lead sources. Now I need another 9 to 14 lead sources to do 6 figures consistently. Now, if I want to do 7 figures, I need 25 to 35 lead sources. I don't want 75% or even 50% or even 25% of my business coming from one lead source. That's dangerous, because when that lead source experiences a challenge, and they all ebb and flow based on what's going on in the marketplace. I want to make sure that no matter what happens, I've got consistent lead flow all the time. So that I don't have roller coaster income like most agents out there.
Get off the roller coaster, make it nauseous. Well, I think people can tell there's a fountain of information. We've diverted so many times.
Our ADD is taking over. We start about ADD next.
Yes, exactly. So if people want to get in touch with Club Wealth because they can see how valuable it is, give us the information again.
Well, I would shoot a text, 727-287-5993. You just, to that number, you'll send the words Club Wealth, and we'll send you our lead sources, and they'll tell you how to get a hold of us and all that. And you can also, we've got a Facebook group. Go to, look up the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind group on Facebook, and or you can go to clubwealth.com.
Okay. And then let's put a bow real quick on what are your final thoughts on team versus brokerage?
Team.
You're my
that's
guy.
It. I mean, that's it. If you want, I mean, but that's only for people that actually want to make money. I mean,
we have to see what you want. I get it. All right, Michael, I appreciate you being on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer.
See ya.